Goodness, have I been mistaken? My biological father lifted my little leg as though to toss me aside. But thankfully, he is indeed my real father. With a sudden thud, my father knelt, catching me just before my head would have met the ground. Chu Chong Chun, be good. Daddy is just playing with you. Me? Surely this is my biological father, right? Ah Chun, you've arrived. Come and see our daughter. She resembles you quite strikingly. I struggled to open my eyes, but without the doctor giving me a gentle pat, I could only gaze at Chu Wenwen's disingenuous face before bursting into tears. What a misfortune. A barely perceptible smile tugged at Chu Chong Chen's stern visage. The tall man, standing over 6 feet, found his hands frozen, trembling uncertainly, unsure of how to proceed. It took the nurse 3 attempts before he finally dared to cradle me with utmost caution. Goodness, have I been mistaken in my embrace? Chu Chong Chen frowned slightly. What did you say? Chu Wenwen was taken aback. I said our daughter looks just like you. Not that part. I didn't say anything else. Ah Chun, what's wrong with you? This is certainly not my mother. Chu Chong Chen's expression swiftly shifted from sunny to stormy, and his hold on me transformed from a gentle embrace to a grip on my little leg, the earlier tenderness evaporating as he realized the one speaking was none other than the child in his arms. Chun, what are you doing? Chu Wenwen exclaimed in confusion, unable to comprehend why Chu Chong Chen's demeanor changed so abruptly, fearing he had discovered something. My cries ceased, replaced by a fit of giggles, and while Chu Chong Chen ignored Chu Wenwen's shrill outburst, he caught my words in that fleeting moment. But thankfully, he is indeed my real father. In the next instant, Chu Chong Chen knelt again, catching me just before my head would have struck the floor, letting out a sigh of relief. Indeed, this is my biological father. Chu Chong Chen, was he truly attempting to drop me? Chu Chong Chen gently patted my sparse little head. Be good. Don't be afraid. Daddy is merely playing with you. I ought to express my gratitude to you for not playing me to death. Well, I suppose I won't hold a grudge, considering your mental faculties seem to be lacking, not even knowing who my true mother is. Chu Wenwen, terrified, broke into a cold sweat and forced a nervous smile. Ah Chen, please don't frighten me, she is your own daughter. Chu Wenwen understood Chu Chong Chen all too well. She knew he despised deceit and betrayal above all. If he were to uncover the truth, she would undoubtedly be unable to escape unscathed. Meanwhile, anguished cries from the neighboring ward pierced the air. A daughter is indeed one's own flesh and blood, but a mother is not necessarily. So can't my dear father see that this woman hardly resembles someone who has just given birth? What kind of woman emerges from childbirth with a hint of makeup? Chu Chong Chen's expression darkened further, the temperature in the room seemingly plummeting in tandem with his mood, until the sound of slapping hands shattered the tense atmosphere. Everyone in the room gasped, staring in disbelief as I vigorously slapped Chu Chong Chen. Dear father, this wretched woman will soon consume your resources, betray you, and even harm your child. Chu Chong Chen seized my flailing little hand and addressed Chu Wenwen on the bed. They'll be taking the child, you should rest well. Chu Wenwen, fearing that in a fit of rage, Chu Chong Chen might harm me, felt her leverage slipping away. In her anxiety, she tumbled from the bed. Ah Chen, the child is still too small. Chu Chong Chen paid no heed to Chu Wenwen sprawled on the floor. He simply strode out of the ward, cradling me in his arms. 2. Clearly, Chu Wenwen's concerns were unfounded. Secretary Lang, please assist me in retrieving the hotel surveillance footage from that evening, and also arrange for a confinement nanny to come to my office. Inside the car, Chu Rongchen's arm trembled slightly. Yet he dared not set me down or alter his position. Serves you right. Who told you to be so indiscriminate, unable even to distinguish your own woman? I intended to berate him further, but fatigue soon enveloped me, and I quickly succumbed to slumber. Upon arriving at Chu Rongchen's company, I felt myself being transferred into another embrace, instantly jolting me awake. Chu Rongchen passed me to the nanny, shaking his already stiffened arm. The nanny, taken aback by Chu Rongchen's low pressure, stood frozen behind him, cradling me. Chu Rongchen remarked, as expected, Mr. Chu, the individual that night was not Miss Chu. The surveillance footage revealed a girl in work attire frantically fleeing from Chu Rongchen's room, her clothes disheveled, and her eyes swollen with tears. Shortly thereafter, Chu Wenwen entered the room. I told you, that wicked woman is not my mother at all. Seeing that Chu Rongchen remained silent, Secretary Lang continued. This girl is called Ai Qing, a childcare worker who happened to be working part-time at our hotel that day. Moreover, I've discovered that today Miss AI happens to be in the same hospital as Miss Chu. Wah, mother must be so upset. Huh. No wonder I suggested she go to a private hospital, but she refused. Now the reason is clear. Chu Rongchen's expression suddenly darkened. Chu Wenwen, very well. You're quite something. Secretary Lang discerned that Chu Rongchen was genuinely furious. Mr. Chu, should we cut off the Chu family's financial support and retract the project? That would be too lenient. No, I want her to understand that offending me is far more terrifying than bankruptcy. Wah! My cries instinctively drew Chu Rongchen's attention. Why are you crying? Is it because you're not being held properly? The nanny quickly masked her expression of curiosity, trembling. Mr. Chu, the young lady must be hungry. It then dawned on Chu Rongchen that I had not consumed milk since my birth. With a bottle in his left hand and formula in his right, he muttered to himself, how much formula? How much hot water? Damn it, is this instruction manual written in ancient script? Why can't I comprehend it? Ultimately, guided by the nanny, Chu Rongchen finally acquired a new life skill, preparing formula. The Chu family's press conference proceeded as scheduled, showcasing their newly named SMART program, a project that was currently all the rage. It was precisely due to this project that Chu Wenwen resorted to drugging Chu Rongchen, hoping to seize the opportunity to climb the social ladder, marry the diamond bachelor Chu Rongchen, and secure this billion-dollar project. However, fate had other plans. She encountered a minor accident on the way, delaying her arrival. When she finally reached the hotel, she witnessed Ai Qing emerging from Chu Rongchen's room in disarray. Though she felt a surge of anger, she had no choice but to let the charade continue. 2 months after that day, under the persuasion of her friend, Ai Qing resolved to visit the Chu Corporation to seek out Chu Rongchen. She was pregnant. 3. However, Chu Rongchen was not someone one could simply meet at will. The front desk had grown accustomed to women trying to ingratiate themselves with him and ultimately dismissed her on the grounds of lacking an appointment. Exiting, she brushed shoulders with Chu Wenwen, who immediately recognized Ai Qing. Thus, through Chu Wenwen's machinations, Ai Qing learned of her pregnancy, and an opportunity presented itself. Chu Wenwen began to frequently engage with Ai Qing, showering her with kindness. Ai Qing, possessing a naive heart, was overwhelmed with gratitude, completely unaware of the sinister intentions of this treacherous rival. Qing, you needn't worry about money. Our relationship is so close that I'm practically half the mother of this child. I will ensure that your baby is well taken care of. That wicked man? Let us pretend he doesn't exist. I'll handle everything. Chu Wenwen, fearful that Ai Qing might reconsider and terminate the pregnancy, kept a watchful eye on her. And after relentless brainwashing, Ai Qing resolved to carry the child to term. With Ai Qing secured, Chu Wenwen approached Chu Rongchen, claiming she was pregnant. However, Chu Rongchen was no fool, so he drafted an agreement stipulating that if the child was indeed his, he would marry Chu Wenwen and provide a substantial dowry. In the days leading up to Ai Qing's delivery, Chu Wenwen reserved a room next door and bribed the doctor to inform her that when Ai Qing gave birth, her child would have died, instructing him to bring the baby to her while utilizing the timing of Chu Rongchen's visits to the hospital to orchestrate a seamless deception. When I witnessed this, it nearly drove me mad. The female protagonist endured 10 months of pregnancy, receiving neither wealth nor her child, ultimately meeting a tragic end. Perhaps my vehement curses were so foul that I found myself reincarnated in this voiceless infant's body. What a travesty. Awakened from my dream, I found myself suspended in a baby carrier against Chu Rongchen's chest, realizing we had arrived at the press conference venue, where all eyes were fixated on me. Why was the CEO attending the press conference with an infant? You don't understand. The Chu Corporation's newly born little princess accompanies the CEO wherever he goes. Is it such a big deal? It's just a girl, not a son. I stifled a yawn, glancing at that patriarchal man. What an ugly creature. As if you have a throne to inherit, you should have more children to compete for it. Chu Rongchen's large hand grasped my tiny feet, whispering something to Secretary Lang, and within 10 minutes, I saw the man hastily answer a phone call and exit the venue. My feet, pinched by Chu Rongchen, felt ticklish, causing me to burst into giggles. Chu Rongchen appeared to be in good spirits, his tone gentle as he offered me the bottle. Come, darling. Let us drink the finest milk and enjoy the best show. I swatted away Chu Rongchen's hand that was attempting to support the bottle, wiggling my little feet. You cheap father, what show are we watching? My mother has been lost because of you. To avenge your mother, I will find her. Chu Rongchen's instinctive remark left me momentarily stunned, causing the bottle to drop to the ground. Can you hear me, cheap father? For Chu Rongchen was momentarily taken aback. then chuckled. You're just a tiny child. Why would I discuss this with you? You wouldn't understand. You startled me. The press conference commenced, with Chu Wenwen representing the company in a pale yellow gown, her face adorned with exquisite makeup as she gracefully took the stage to begin her presentation. Throughout this time, her gaze never strayed from Chu Rongchen, as if she were daydreaming about the blissful life she would have married to him. Meanwhile, Chu Rongchen was preoccupied with playing with my tiny feet, changing my socks multiple times, seemingly dissatisfied until he finally slipped on a pair of large strawberry socks, a smile tugging at his lips. This one is quite nice. The timing is just about right. Suddenly, a group of uniformed officers burst through the entrance of the press conference. Excuse me, we have received reports that you are involved in copyright infringement. Please come with us. Chu Wenwen froze for a moment, then quickly regained her composure, looking at Chu Rongchen in disbelief. Chu Rongchen ignored Chu Wenwen's probing gaze and quietly said to me, "It's time for us to eat. We should head home." Ugh, cheap father, your kind father persona does not suit you at all, and are you a pervert? Can you please stop pinching my feet? In the evening, Chu Wenwen arrived at the Chu residence, looking somewhat disheveled, but with a request in mind. She softened her tone. "Ah, Chen, didn't we agree on this? Why have you suddenly changed your mind?" Chu Rongchen regarded Chu Wenwen as if she were a fool. "Are you referring to that agreement? Do you even remember the conditions of our agreement?"
Chu Wenwen,
Believing Chu Rongchen suspected I was not his biological child, insisted, "The daughter is truly yours. You can verify with a paternity test." Foolish woman. Chu Wenwen still hadn't realized that Chu Rongchen was already aware of the truth. He exchanged a glance with Secretary Lang, who presented the surveillance footage from that day alongside Ai Qing's hospital admission records. Chu Wenwen's body stiffened, and she continued to argue. "That's not true."
Ashen,
"Did that woman say something to you?" "Do not believe her. My darling was born after a 10-month gestation, not by her." Chu Rongchen, disinterested in further discourse, unleashed his final explosive revelation, the paternity test results for the three of us. At this moment, Chu Wenwen truly panicked. "Ah Chun, let me explain. It was my overwhelming love for you that clouded my judgment. Besides, as long as the child is yours, does it truly matter who her mother is?" Yes. I see you are not confused at all. You merely covet the wealth of your cheap dad. Blabbering on. How ridiculous. Chu Rongchen's gaze turned frigid, his words sharp as daggers. "Firstly, my darling has a biological mother. Not just anyone is worthy of being her mom. Secondly, I request the Chu family to compensate the Chu group for the infringement. The exact amount will be communicated by our lawyer. No need for you to calculate it yourself. Of course, if you choose not to compensate, that is also an option." Chu Wenwen, elated as if she had found a lifeline, grasped Chu Rongchen's hand. "I knew it. Ah Chen, you love me. You cannot bear to part with me, can you?" Chu Rongchen shook her off, his eyes icy. A stint in prison will settle the score. Disappointment washed over Chu Wenwen, and she sank to the ground, dazed. This cannot be happening. How could it be like this? She had forgotten that anyone who had crossed Chu Rongchen never found a favorable end. Now, the Chu family faced not only bankruptcy, but also the burden of immense debt. The butler escorted Chu Wenwen out of the Chu residence, her protests echoing. "Chu Rongchen, do not think this will allow you to infiltrate our Chu family. Just wait. I will not let you off easily." Chu Rongchen paid no heed to her impotent fury, amusing himself with a toy frog. "Darling, come, give daddy a smile." The frog croaked, and I swatted it from Chu Rongchen's hand. What a laugh. "I refuse. Do not come near me. Remain solitary." Chu Rongchen remained unfazed, picking up the toy and continuing to croak with delight. The following day, Chu Rongchen held me against his chest, absent-mindedly tapping on the table. While seated across from me was my biological mother, Ai Qing. Mother appeared gaunt, her complexion devoid of color, embodying a sickly visage that tugged at the heartstrings. She dared not meet Chu Rongchen's gaze, instead focusing on me nestled in his arms. For a brief moment, her expression brightened, only to be replaced by tears as she lowered her head, the atmosphere thick with an unsettling silence, as neither spoke. Mother looks so frail. It is all that wicked woman's fault. Mother must be heartbroken, thinking I am dead. Dear cheap dad, comfort her quickly. Miss Ai, be my woman. Be the mother of my child. The terms are yours to dictate. Chu Rongchen's words pierced my heart.
Pfft.
Does cheap dad have a serious illness? Is this something a sane person would say? Ai Qing gazed at Chu Rongchen in disbelief. What did you just say? Chu Rongchen, mistaking Ai Qing's shock for awe at his domineering proclamation, felt a swell of pride. I can transfer your mother to the finest hospital. As long as you agree to be with me. Everything else is negotiable. This is absurd. Anyone would think he has lost his mind. Cheap dad, this isn't a transaction. You are courting a wife, not seeking a mistress. As expected, tears brimmed in Ai Qing's eyes as she clenched her fists. Mr. Chu, I believe you are mistaken. I do not wish to revisit that day, nor do I wish to see you again. Just because I lack financial means does not grant you the right to trample on my dignity. Please, do not harass me any further. After Ai Qing departed, Chu Rongchen was left bewildered. Is it my manner of speaking that is at fault? This woman, despite having me as a substantial ally, dares to mock me. What a joke. Being grateful is the least she could do for me resolving her troubles, and then falling for me seems a reasonable expectation, does it not? This is not how I envisioned it. I dare say cheap dad has never been in love. Why not directly inform mother that I am her child? She would surely be overjoyed. Wait, could cheap dad feel embarrassed about misjudging people and letting his wife suffer? Chu Rongchen diverted his gaze, brimming with confidence. Do not worry, darling, your father will handle it. Mr. Chu, the gifts you purchased for Miss Ai have been returned intact. How would you like to handle these items? Secretary Lang bore a morose expression, standing in the office laden with parcels. Chu Rongchen furrowed his brow, casting a cold glance at Secretary Lang. Is this your brilliant suggestion? As I suckled from my bottle, I regarded the two men with disdain. Cheap dad is so foolish. It's like teaching a mute to speak. Utterly pointless. If mother could be swayed with money, she wouldn't have been deceived in the first place. Why not simply extort you? Courtship requires a thick skin. With me around, you need not fear lacking prospects. Truly dim-witted. However, while I was preoccupied with concerns for cheap dad's future happiness, he moved me directly into a dilapidated, unkempt residential area adjacent to Ai Qing's abode. Chu Rongchen frowned. How could this woman reside in such a place? He purchased pastries for the surrounding neighbors, and Secretary Lang busily distributed them, perspiring profusely. How pitiable. Chu Rongchen stood at the foot of the old building, clutching a pink box, pacing restlessly. Upon seeing Ai Qing return, he tensed. Ai Qing briefly met our gaze before attempting to ascend the stairs, only to be intercepted by Chu Rongchen, who presented the pastries he had prepared. Miss Ai, I am your new neighbor. I hope we can get along well. I told you before, I do not wish to see you again. Just the sight of you brings back memories I wish to forget. Could you please keep your distance? Ai Qing's eyes reddened, and with a furious glare at Chu Rongchen, she fled. Chu Rongchen, stunned by Ai Qing's outburst, was left bewildered. By the time he regained his senses, Ai Qing had long vanished, and the pastries he had meticulously prepared were discarded into the trash. What nonsense is this? Chu Rongchen, have never desired something I could not attain. Just you wait. Oh, cheap dad, do not disgust me. Your domineering quotes are unwelcome. Soon after, I faced repercussions for my verbal chastisement of father. Chu Rongchen enrolled in Ai Qing's parenting course, where he was the only anomaly among expectant mothers and fathers. Attending class while impeccably dressed in a suit, holding me, accompanied by Secretary Lang, resembling a character from a spy thriller rather than a student. Naturally, he became the focal point of attention. Ai Qing, with a furrowed brow, treated Chu Rongchen as though he were invisible, gently instructing, lift the baby's little legs and place the diaper beneath their bottom. Fold the front over, covering the navel, leaving a finger's width of space for the little tummy, stretch first, then secure, and our diaper is properly fitted. After her explanation, Ai Qing checked each student's progress, and when she reached Chu Rongchen, she could no longer contain herself. Are you certain this child is truly yours? Ai Qing cast a doubtful glance at me, clad in my exposed shoulder diaper, as she scrutinized Chu Rongchen. Mother, save me. Secretary Lang cleared his throat, attempting to clarify the situation for his president, but he opened his mouth and then closed it, ultimately giving up. Chu Rongchen, undeterred by the gazes of disbelief, replied with clarity, I followed the steps as instructed by the teacher. You truly are an excellent student. You completed all the steps correctly, except you placed me incorrectly. Ai Qing, having patiently taught him numerous times, finally, during one of her demonstrations, inadvertently brushed against the back of Chu Rongchen's hand, leading him to grasp the concept. If one instance was a coincidence, what did two entail? In the subsequent lessons, while preparing formula, Chu Rongchen deliberately mixed it too thick, clogging the nipple. He presented me with the bottle. Come, darling, drink. Drink your sister? My cries reverberated throughout the classroom. Mr. Chu, allow me, Ai Qing intervened, taking me into her arms, and my wails transformed into sobs as I clung to her, refusing to let go. Woe is me, dear mother. My cheap father wishes to end my life. CHRNGCH and suppressed the corners of his mouth. Teacher, I apologize. This child seems to be in a state of constant distress. In a desperate attempt to prolong my existence, I clung on tenaciously, inadvertently aiding my cheap father, and the two were compelled to return home together. As the 3.5 of us strolled along the path, CHRNGCHN's phone rang. Secretary Elling and CHRNGCHN stepped aside to take the call, while Ai Qing continued to walk ahead, cradling me. Suddenly, she was intercepted by a woman with cascading waves, stiletto heels, and fiery red lips. Oh, Teacher Ai. The school has been buzzing with rumors that you've had a child. I never imagined it to be true. Congratulations. Yet, where's the father of this child? This insufferable woman has a foul tongue. Ai Qing lowered her head, her face betraying an indescribable melancholy. I realized she had been struck at her sore spot. Reminded of me. Observing her silence, the woman raised her voice, drawing the attention of passers-by. Oh dear. My apologies. I had no idea, teacher, I was an unwed mother. In times of need, one ought to rely on oneself. How could one resort to unscrupulous means? Ai Qing, wishing to ignore the woman, attempted to walk away while holding me, but was firmly grasped. Teacher Ai, don't leave.
Blind.
Cheap father, come quickly, your wife is being bullied. Unable to escape, Ai Qing halted. Teacher Li, you have overstepped. We are merely colleagues. Why should I owe you an explanation? Besides, this child, the woman appeared overly intrigued by her. CHRNGCHN naturally wrapped an arm around Ai Qing's waist. Teacher Li scrutinized CHRNGCHN's designer attire and distinguished aura, then glanced at plain Ai Qing, mockingly remarking, Sir, you hardly seem to be in need of money. Might I say, you are rather appealing. What is the name of your establishment? I assure you, my spending is more generous than Teacher I's. After all, I am the daughter of the Li family, and we are set to collaborate with the CH family soon. She then attempted to flirt with CHRNGCHN. Oh my. This woman is treating my cheap father as a gigolo. Will she not be drenched in her own blood? Calm down. Mother still needs to work here. I glanced at CHRNGCHN and indeed saw a flash of ferocity in his gaze, yet he did not retaliate. Instead, taking a step back with Ai Qing, CHRNGCHN's eyes turned icy as he dialed a number. Hello, Mr. Li, our collaboration ends here. The voice on the other end panicked, inquiring why this was so, and what had gone wrong. A melodious laugh escaping him. Your daughter wishes to keep me. How could I possibly continue collaborating with the Li family? The call ended, and Teacher Li's expression was one of exquisite astonishment, though she feigned composure. You, who are you trying to intimidate? Just because you claim to be Mr. CH does not make it so. I might as well say, I am the Queen Mother. Before she could finish her sentence, her phone rang. Even as we walked a distance away, her furious shouts could still be faintly heard. By the time we reached downstairs, Ai Qing's face had flushed crimson. They had walked together all the way, and after expressing her gratitude, she thrust me into CHRNGCHN's arms and fled. Watching Ai Qing enter her room, the 2.5 of us departed, during which CHRNGCHN's smile had yet to fade. I shot him a glare foolish. After that day, my visits to Ai Qing's home increased. Initially, I believed CHRNGCHN was merely using me as a pretext to see Ai Qing more often, but I overheard a conversation between him and Secretary Elling, revealing that the CH Group's most significant project was facing issues with its investors and funding chain. I apologize, but I must trouble you once more today. I can only feel at ease when I am by your side, CHRNGCHN remarked. A hint of fatigue etched on his face. Noticing CHRNGCHN's pallid complexion, Ai Qing called out to Secretary Elling. Secretary Elling, is something amiss? Secretary Elling, sporting dark circles under his eyes, replied, the project investor, Old Hua, is proving obstinate. Without his approval, the project cannot proceed. Should Old Hua withdraw his funding, the group will not only face financial shortages but may also incur criminal liability for breach of contract. Fortunately, we have discovered the reason for Old Hua's refusal, the Q family. Oh, by the way, the president asked me to give this to you. Secretary Elling produced a file from his bag and handed it to Ai Qing. The Q family? QW and WN? Ai Qing pondered aloud. Placing the file into her bag, Ai Qing took me to a nursing home. In room 1098, a frail woman with graying hair sat with her back to the door, gazing out the window. Hearing footsteps, she turned, a weak smile gracing her kind face. Qing, you've come. Ai Qing furrowed her brow, draping a garment over the woman's shoulders. Mother, the weather has grown chilly. This woman was Ai Qing's mother, more accurately, her adoptive mother. I recalled that she was suffering from advanced cholangiocarcinoma. Ai Qing had fortuitously encountered CHRNGCHN to cover the exorbitant nursing home fees. Alas, I's mother was in a dire state, with her pallid visage suggesting her time was limited. Goodness, child, how can you, a young lady, be more nagging than I, an old woman? Oh, who is this child? I's mother, whose eyesight was not the best, noticed my presence only as Ai Qing approached her. This is a student of mine. Ai Qing felt it an inadequate description and swiftly amended, a friend's child. Her correction piqued I's mother's interest. Oh? By the look on my Qing's face, this friend must be quite special. Ai Qing struggled to define her relationship with CHRNGCHN. Calling him a student felt insufficient, and labeling him a friend seemed inaccurate. After much hesitation, she finally declared, "He is just a friend." I's mother playfully pinched my hand, chuckling, "Time flies. When my Qing first came to me, she was this small. In the blink of an eye, my Qing has someone she likes." "Oh, mother, what are you saying?" My dear, I merely wish for you to be cherished, to be loved, and to have someone accompany you for a long, long time." Initially, Ai Qing felt a tad embarrassed, but upon hearing those words, her eyes brimmed with tears as she grasped her mother's hand. "I only want you, mother. I do not need anyone else. You will stay with me for a long, long time." Cough, cough. Qing, there is something I still wish to say. Regarding your family, the grievances between your parents have no bearing on your grandfather. He is your only living relative now. Trust your mother, return home. He longs to see you. Ai Qing nestled in her mother's embrace, silently shedding tears. "Mother, I understand it is not my grandfather's fault. But if it weren't for you, I would have perished long ago." Old Huo was Ai Qing's grandfather. Her mother, infatuated and disregarding opposition, had married her alcoholic father, which led to Old Huo disowning her mother. Tragically, her mother died during childbirth. And only when Old Huo sought her out did her father realize the Huo family's wealth. By then, she had been abandoned. Her father extorted 500,000 from Old Huo before informing him of Ai Qing's birth, but he, too, was a man without a life. He succumbed to heart failure the very next day. Old Huo was consumed by guilt, as his momentary wrath had cost him the chance to see his daughter one last time. He sought to remedy this guilt by finding his only bloodline, enduring repeated cycles of loss and disappointment over the years. Ai Qing had only recently learned online that she was possibly the granddaughter of the Huo family. Recognizing a striking resemblance between herself and a photo of Old Huo's daughter, I's mother gently stroked Ai Qing's hair. "My dear, living is of utmost importance. Once one is gone, nothing remains. I am very happy to have you by my side. Your grandfather has sought you for so long, yearning to see you in his lifetime, to mend the regrets of yesteryears." Upon hearing this, Ai Qing was inconsolable. "Even if I were to reunite with my grandfather, I will never leave my mother." The two wept in each other's embrace. Mother would never let go of her precious daughter. Exiting the nursing home, I nestled comfortably in Ai Qing's arms, and only when I felt warm tears cascade onto my face did I lift my head. Ai Qing was examining the folder Secretary Elling had given her. Within were two documents, a letter, one being a signed agreement for the unconditional transfer of fixed assets, and the other a paternity test confirming my relationship with Ai Qing. The letter read, "Ai Qing, I sincerely apologize regarding the matter of the little one, but please trust me, it was never my intention to cause you sorrow. I always believed that time was on my side, and I wished to gradually compensate you for what I owed, not wanting you to think that my approach to you was merely due to the child. After spending so much time together, I instinctively sought excuses for myself. Yet I realized I could not deceive my own heart. I cannot pinpoint when it began, but I found myself unwittingly yearning for you. Every semblance of you, in my mind, conjured your visage. I believe this must be what it feels like to truly like someone. I had intended to wait until you fully opened your heart to me, allowing you to proudly take on the role of my beloved Mrs. Chu. However, I now feel fortunate that I refrained from making a hasty decision. You deserve far better. Once this matter is resolved, should you have a choice, I will ensure someone looks after the little one so you need not feel burdened. Best wishes." Upon finishing the letter, Ai Qing tightly embraced me, her eyes radiating determination. "Little one, let us find your foolish father." "Mummy, what is this brave front you are putting on?" Ai Qing, still holding me, breathlessly pushed open the grand doors of the Huo residence, where Old Huo was preparing to sign a contract. "Wait." The onlookers turned towards the entrance, their expressions a tapestry of emotions. Chu Rongchen remained impassive. Secretary Lang wore a worried frown. Chu Wenwen's gaze was laced with malice. While old Hua's eyes glistened with unshed tears, his trembling hand causing the pen to clatter to the ground. The atmosphere descended into an inexplicable silence upon seeing Ai Qing. Chu Wenwen feared losing her grasp on the situation and hastily urged, "Old Hua, please sign quickly. Chu's will offer you another point." Yet old Hua, engrossed in gazing at Ai Qing's face, had no inclination to heed Chu Wenwen's words. Chu Rongchen, perplexed by the scene, stepped forward to bid farewell. "Since old Hua has made his decision, we shall not intrude further. I hope we may have the opportunity to collaborate again in the future. Dear father, we have come specifically to rescue you, not to take you home." Old Hua, now responsive, wiped his tear-streaked eyes. "Miss Ai, may I speak with you privately?" Confounded, Chu Rongchen could not fathom why old Hua called for Ai Qing, having no prior connection to her. He anxiously grasped Ai Qing's arm, wishing to prevent her from approaching. Ai Qing smiled softly. "I will explain later." Chu Wenwen attempted to obstruct old Hua, but was met with a fierce glare as he ascended the stairs with Ai Qing, leaving the rest of us in the foyer to wait. 10 minutes later, Chu Wenwen paced anxiously, while Chu Rongchen occasionally glanced upwards. "Stop looking. When Mummy descends from the stairs, her worth will elevate dramatically. Hua's granddaughter, wealthier than you. Wait. Dear father is a CEO, and Mummy is the granddaughter of a tycoon. Could this be what they call starting with an advantage? Oh my, they've hit the jackpot." I kicked my little feet in glee, giggling. As Chu Rongchen lifted me, "Little one, your laughter is rather mischievous." "Commoner, what do you know?" An hour later, Ai Qing emerged, supporting old Hua, both with reddened eyes. Chu Wenwen greeted them with a feigned smile, attempting to interject. "Old Hua." Old Hua raised a hand to silence her. "I cannot condone the unscrupulous methods of the Chu family. Miss Chu, please take your leave." After the incident, Chu Wenwen happened upon a missing person notice posted by old Hua. Upon seeing the photograph, she immediately deduced that Ai Qing was connected to the woman depicted. Under the guise of being Ai Qing's friend, she approached, claiming she would facilitate the reunion of old Hua and Ai Qing with the stipulation of investment. In her misguided concern, old Hua harbored no suspicion of her intentions until Ai Qing's arrival prompted an honest conversation. The Chu family, on the brink of bankruptcy, left old Hua unwilling to sever ties completely, and in his joy, he chose not to engage in further disputes with Chu Wenwen. With her nails digging into her flesh, Chu Wenwen's face twisted into a grotesque mask of rage. "Why? Why must you have all the good fortune? You should perish." In a sudden frenzy,
Que Wenwen brandisht ta bras razor Ai Qing.
"Mummy!" In an instant, I found myself in a different embrace as Chu Rongchen swiftly transferred me to Secretary Lang's arms, pulling Ai Qing behind him to shield her from Chu Wenwen's assault. However, he was still grazed by her blade. "Are you alright?" Ai Qing and Chu Rongchen exclaimed in unison. Tears streamed silently down Ai Qing's cheeks as she frantically applied pressure to Chu Rongchen's wound. "You idiot. Don't you care for your life?" Chu Rongchen held the sobbing Ai Qing close. "As long as you are safe, that is all that matters." A rather cliché scenario, yet as a mere spectator, I find it quite entertaining. Haha. Old Hua, infuriated, had Chu Wenwen arrested for attempted assault, instructing all within their circle that anyone who dared assist the Chu family would be opposing him. The outcome was predictable. No one wished to offend a tycoon, leading to the Chu family's downfall, with Chu Wenwen reduced to sewing. Following that day, Ai Qing and Chu Rongchen promptly held their wedding. As for their married life, dear father faced a grim reality. He relinquished all his assets as dowry to Mummy, rendering Chu Rongchen akin to Secretary Lang in his servitude. And I shall revel in my soaring life, unbound.
The end.